In today's video, I'd like to show you how you can very easily use our free utility labels indicator that's available on this page right here, tosindicators.com/indicator/market pulse. You can download that to have the tools you'll need to follow along. But I'm going to show you how you can use that utility labels to very quickly get an understanding of which markets you'd like to focus on, both from the bullish side, the bearish side, and which markets you'd like to ignore altogether. Now, for the purposes of this exercise, we'll use three different time frames, and I've tried to spread out the three different time frames. First, we have our weekly time frame. Then we'll narrow down our focus just a little bit more to our daily time frame. And then finally, for those of you looking at a much more smaller time frame chart, I have the 1 hour here to give you an idea of what this looks like on an intraday basis. You can repeat this exercise on whichever time frame you'd like, 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute, 4 hour. Whichever it is, the utility labels indicator should give you a very easy way to have an understanding of which markets are bullish, which markets are bearish, with little room for discretion, and it's very much a binary process. Now, if we start here first with our weekly time frame chart, on the weekly time frame, what you should notice is most of our labels here are green, suggesting that we're in a period of acceleration using our market pulse. That means price action here still is maintaining bullish structure. The three markets in which that's not true, or you can call it a little bit less bullish than others, we have the materials ETF, XLB, the retail ETF, XRT, and the consumer staples ETF, XLP. Now, if we continue narrowing this down a little bit further, coming into our daily time frame chart, there's only one sector that's still standing out to us in terms of having bullish structure, and that's XLE. You can see that very clearly with this green label. Outside of that, we have XLB and XLF, both of which are yellow, and the remaining sectors on the daily time frame are all very much bearish. The Dow is another one for those of you looking at a market that has a little bit more strength, if you will, compared to its sibling markets with the other ETFs. But really, for the sector discussion, we're focusing in on XLE is the most bullish. Outside of that, we have XLB and XLF where our labels are yellow. So those are the three markets we'll focus in on in just a second. And finally, looking at the 1 hour time frame chart here, the 1 hour is telling us a little bit different in terms of information. There, XLRE and XLY are our two bullish ETFs, sectors, whatever you want to call it. And then outside of that, XLE, XLB, XLU, XRT, and IBB are all in their yellow phase, suggesting that there's either strength or weakness, but it's not clear cut one direction in terms of having a red or a green label. So that gives you an idea of how to read the indicator. Now let's actually dive a little bit deeper into the daily time frame, focus in on that time frame, and take a look at the three different sectors. So let me go ahead and maximize this cell. Now inside of this, let's start first with XLE. If I load in XLE here, you should notice our market pulse is still very much green. So that's telling us that there's bullish structure, which is also what's feeding this label right here. Then if we take a look at our squeeze here, that's already fired off, almost to the point where we would expect momentum to start to at least decrease for a little bit. If in that decreasing momentum, price action either gets a chance to catch up to our market pulse line here, or there's some sort of intersection, I think those pullbacks make for a very nice opportunity to get long the one market at least, which is telling us that there's strength off of a daily time frame chart. Now outside of that, we said we had two other sectors to focus in on, XLF and XLB. So let's move on next to XLF. So I'll change our market. Now inside of XLF, what should stand out here? The market pulse really just flatlined. We've gone from green to red to gray. So far, it looks like we're holding a little bit more bullish structure than bearish. We have a nice squeeze that's forming. And if I zoom out here, using our fibs here, you'll see that we're really chopping around that 1272 price for at least now quite some time, all the way starting our first touch, which was back in May, till now. That's been, if I just estimate this roughly, about 110 bars, 156 days, 110 trading days. So we've been chopping around the 1272 for quite some time. Our 1618, if the squeeze is to fire long, is near that 47.17 mark. So XLF here looks interesting from the sake of having a little bit more bullish structure than our other markets. Not as bullish as XLE, but it still is one of those markets that looks better if you are trying to narrow down your focus. And finally, we have XLB here. XLB, if we zoom in, this looks a bit different. XLB, our most recent trend here, has been bearish. You can see that with the red line. We're looking to try and break above that right now. The only reason this label is yellow is because we closed above that market pulse line. So that tells you that, hey, this is a market that's trying to get its footing down a little bit more. If we can hold this as a base and then break higher and this market pulse turns green, then that's your sign that, hey, a new bullish trend is starting inside of our materials ETF. But if that doesn't actually happen, and instead we have a close below the market pulse, then really all this was a touch of the trend in an overall downtrend, right? So a pullback, but this time in a bearish trend. Now inside of our materials ETF here, what stands out is our market pulse, for at least for the most recent past, has been red. So that tells us that there's really been a preceding bearish trend, not a bullish trend. And so far, price action's trying to at least break above that market pulse line, get back into a bullish trend structure with this green line. But so far, that hasn't been true. So that's something to look out for. But if you were to rank in terms of bullish structures, the three different ETFs we've looked at, XLE would be the most bullish. Then you have XLF, and then finally XLB is that one market in which we're trying to get to that bullish zone, but so far haven't. Now, one last market that I'm just going to look at because we saw the yellow label is the Dow Jones, in which we had the yellow label, but very similar to materials, we see the market pulse most recently has been red, suggesting we have bearish activity. We did get a nice squeeze signal today. That squeeze is also starting to build up momentum. But in terms of our actual structure using the variable moving average line, so far the Dow also is pointing more to the bearish side than the bullish side. So hopefully this video gives you a very easy, clear-cut way to use the utility labels indicator. Again, available for free download on the Market Pulse tutorial page. You can plug that in and just in one go have a really wider sector overview for most major sectors, most major markets, things like the trend, so on and so forth. Hope this video was helpful for those of you looking to try and navigate the markets right now. Take care, everyone. Good luck trading, and we'll see you in the next update.